We just got some pretty exciting news for Ark. The latest creature being added into the game has been revealed. We are getting the Armadoggo. The Armadoggo is part of the Wasteland War Pack and in part 3 to the Bob's Tall Tales. Just for clarification, this is not a fantastic tame, so if you already own Bob's Tall Tales, you will in fact be getting this creature. The Armadoggo is a unique armored canine companion. This creature is more than just a tame, it is a new type of creature. It can be changed from a standard tame to a companion. It is the only creature currently in the game that can do it, and it will loyally follow you with superior tracking, and if it strays too far away, it will burrow underground and reappear at your side, except when it's engaged in an attack or performing a specialized ability that you have given it to do. But eventually, if you do stray too far, it will eventually burrow and reappear at your side. Now, one interesting note about this creature is that it doesn't gain experience independently, but instead levels with you, adding a new twist to your adventures and being one of the only drawbacks to the creature. Another thing to mention is that the Armadoggo does not have a traditional saddle. It cannot be ridden, but its saddle, which is actually a Wasteland armor, is an engram that you can unlock. Now, based on some information that we'll cover later in the video, and basically was released later into the stream, it's actually going to be near endgame when you can unlock this saddle, most likely around the scuba gear level. And this saddle or armor has multiple different perks. It actually has well over a dozen different abilities with this armor, and we'll dive into all of those details further into the video. Now, when it comes to battle, the Armadoggo is resilient. If its health is depleted while in its companion mode, it doesn't actually die. Instead, it burrows underground for a set resting period, likely around 1 hour, before resurfacing to join you again at your side, regardless of where it is that you are on the map in comparison to where it is that it died or fainted. Now, speaking of companion mode, upon entering companion mode, you will receive a unique dog whistle that lets you issue commands. Like with Cosmo, this whistle binds Armadoggo to you as a personal companion. This item that you are given will bind the Armadoggo to you, meaning it cannot be stolen, dropped, or traded, and when you die, you will still have it on your person. It means that Armadoggo is permanently yours while in this companion mode. This whistle also has special abilities. You can put it in the item hotbar for the doggo, and if you hold it down, it will bring up a radial menu that lets you perform a different set of actions. However, you can set one of these abilities to be a quick access ability, so instead of holding the button down for that specific item slot, you can actually just press it and will activate the ability. Now, we weren't given every single ability that would be in this wheel, but we got 4 confirmed for sure. One would simply just be to come here. The next ability is to go through and basically be a guard dog or a sentry. In the sentry mode, it will look for other creatures and will give you a different alert based upon whether an area is safe or if another creature is approaching. If it detects a hostile creature, it will let out a bark to make you aware and also has a chance to scare away the creature. Interestingly enough, the larger the creature is, the higher percentage of actually getting scared away they are. Big creatures like Gigas and Karchas have about a 25% chance to get scared away from the bark, while smaller creatures have roughly a 15% chance to get scared away. The third ability we found out was that the Armadoggo can play dead. While it is playing dead, it gets a 95% damage reduction against anything that is not a turret, so it cannot be used as a turret soaker. However, once it plays dead, every creature in the area that is aggro to it will de-aggro and then leave the creature alone. So it sounds like mainly at that point, realistically, the only thing that could damage it would be turrets or other players. So in a sense, you could whistle your dog farther away from you and lure creatures to it, then tell it to play dead so you can grab some resources or work on trying to tame a creature. Then once you've done that, you could whistle it to follow you or even fly far enough away to where it detected you, and then it would basically burrow underground and reappear at your side, which is just kind of mind-blowing. Now, the last ability we got confirmed with this whistle is definitely more PvP-oriented. You can whistle for the Armadoggo to set you free. So if you're playing against other players and they trap you with a pair of handcuffs or a bola, the dog can walk up and literally just bite off the handcuffs or the bola and set you free, which I don't play PvP, but that just kind of sounds bonkers to me. Now, we also found out that the dog will have its own set of emotes that are strictly for cosmetic viewing purposes. Yes, you can 100% pet this dog. The other confirmed emotes are the bark, roll over, sit, beg, and dig emotes. Now, you can command the dog to perform these actions manually, but it will also perform them automatically at times when the creature is not doing any other actions. Basically, if it's just sitting idle, it will start emoting, definitely giving it some more personality than the majority of other creatures. Other notable facts we found out is that yes, the Armadoggo is breedable, so you can get all the fun colors and mutations on it. However, we did not find out the specific amount of color regions that it will have. Also, it does have its own weight stat, so it can help you carry stuff. It's not a large capacity, but still enough to be helpful. It can carry anything that a human player can carry, so yes, it can actually carry one of each type of artifact, just like a human player. Now, in regards to its size, it's actually the size of a real dog in real life, around the size of a lab. And even when it's standing up, the dog's paws are barely up to your shoulders, and we actually get to see that in the dossier that was released in this stream as well. Now, in regards to its speed, it's slightly faster than humans when both running and, yes, swimming. It can swim and breathe underwater to an extent, and we'll get into that as we get into the armor later into the video. Now, another big ability it has is whenever it is fighting a creature and damages that creature will have a chance of dropping a special item. That special item can only be tracked down by the Armadoggo. So you can then put the Armadoggo into a tracking mode to follow the trail of this item that got dropped, and it can even be across the map, and the dog will lead you to it. This item is a new type of item that they did not discuss in detail. Now, in regards to the diet for the Armadoggo, it is an omnivore, and it still needs to be fed even in companion mode. They did mention it gets a bonus when fed meat, however, they did not specify what kind of bonus it is. There also appears to be some form of happy meter, possibly, as they said it's advised to make sure you take your companion out with you to ensure they stay happy. This will also be the only way to ensure they gain experience, as they gain experience with the survivor when they are out with them. Now, when in companion mode, they said it will also go wherever it is that you go, so it sounds like it can actually join you as you mount creatures and RJs and fly along with you. Basically, it'll board anything that you do. Now, it is important to note that it is not a shoulder pet, so you can still use the shoulder pet, a chibi, and have the Armadoggo equipped all at the same time. Also, even though they don't level like other creatures, they level with the player, they can still get all 88 levels that the other creatures get. Now, in regards to its taming method, all we know at this time is that it's not a knockout tame. We will have to wait for more info on that in the future. They can also be transferred between servers like other creatures. It is important to note that this is the first companion creature that has ever been released in Ark, and at this time they are not currently working on any others. However, with the way that it was designed, they said if they were to release more companions in the future, we would only ever be able to use one at a time. Also, remember that if it is not in companion mode, that it cannot do the majority of these abilities, and they will very much die like other creatures when it is not in that companion mode. Now, if you do want one in companion mode and then a whole army of them following you around, then you can definitely do that. They do also have a pack buff, and you'll often find them in the wild in a pack. Now, in regards to how this doggo will actually affect the collision in game, the Armadoggo has 3 ranges. It has a close range, a medium range, and a long range. At close range, it will act the same as other creatures, and if you walk into it, it will block you, and it can run into other creatures and get stopped by structures or terrain. However, once you hit the middle zone a certain distance away, it will actually start to pass through creatures and certain pieces of terrain. This will allow it to catch up to you. You should ideally be far enough away from it to not be able to see this happen, and then once you do actually get to a certain distance, it will be considered long range, and then at that point, it will just burrow underground and then reappear by your side. Alright, now let's talk about the saddle armor perks that I mentioned earlier. It's important to know that the base saddle unlocks at a certain predetermined level as an engram. Then you unlock each one of these different versions of this armor at slightly different levels, however they should all be around the same level. It sounds like it's around level 80ish, as I said it will be around the same time as scuba gear. So saddle ability number 1 is the bag. The dog gets more carrying capacity, quite a bit extra carrying space actually. However, this is not an activatable ability, it is a passive ability. Saddle ability number 2 is the med kit. The med kit has an active ability to heal your health over time, similar to that of a medical brew. However, there is a cooldown on it. The passive part of this ability is that if your health drops below 20%, the Armadoggo will automatically heal you once during this time. This also has a cooldown. Saddle ability number 3 is extra armor. It gives a 20% flat damage reduction across the board from damage sources for anything that attacks the Armadoggo. This does not affect the player. Saddle ability number 4 is spikes. It will cause the Armadoggo to deal extra damage with its basic melee attack. However, it's important to know that by default, they do not deal a lot of damage. So if you want to turn them into a battle creature, you want to give them this ability as well as invest points into their melee. It was confirmed their damage will not rival the damage of Rex's. However, where a lot of damage from this ability actually comes from is their ability to deal thorns damage to all melee attacks inflicted on the Armadoggo while this piece of armor is equipped. Now, saddle ability number 5 is the meat sack. You can activate the meat sack to immediately put any aggro that is on you from a creature onto your dog instead. This applies both to wild creatures and enemy tames. Basically, anything that's not being ridden by a player would be affected by this. So you could activate this ability to get away from a bad situation, and then also tell your Armadoggo to play dead, and then all wild creatures would just leave it alone. This ability was also confirmed to work in boss arenas on boss ads, however they did not specifically say it works on the bosses themselves. They did mention though that you will need to heavily invest into health to not have them die extremely quickly in boss fights. Saddle ability number 6 is a speed buff. Both the dog and yes, the player will get a speed boost. That's right, if you ever miss the move speed from ASA, well this is how you can get it in game. It was actually compared to using a focal chili, providing a very fast speed buff for a short amount of time. And yes, you can stack this with the focal chili and get an insanely fast move and speed buff for a very short duration. Now, saddle ability number 7 is the food basket. You can store both food and water in the dog's armor. It will spoil slower, and you can eat directly from its saddle. That's right, roles have reversed. We're no longer feeding the dog is feeding us and giving us water when we're thirsty, which sounds absolutely ridiculous, hilarious, and amazing all at the same time. This means you can free up both the food and the water sources from your hotbar and allow you to have more slots available for other items. Also, if your food or water hits 0, the dog will automatically feed you or give you water. Saddle ability number 8 is the chibi basket. You can put a chibi both on your player and then a second one on the Armadoggo, meaning you can level up 2 different chibis at the exact same time. And yes, you can in fact see the chibi in real time riding the dog. So if you want to stick a Giga Chibi on that tiny little dog, you can definitely do so. Saddle ability number 9 is the Spyglass. It allows you to use the same function as a Spyglass, but it was actually mentioned it will actually do more than a Spyglass. However, not quite as much as tech binoculars, just to keep them relevant. You basically just look at the creature you want and then activate the ability from your hotbar, and it will give you the information you desire. Saddle ability number 10 is the Rolled Sleeping Bag. This will passively give both hyperthermic and hypothermic insulation near it. It'll also act as a mobile sleeping bag for your tribe. So if you want a buddy to come join you quickly, then they can teleport to the Armadoggo. This ability does have a very long cooldown. Saddle ability number 11 is the Ammo Box. This ability gives weight reduction for most ammo, so they can carry quite a bit more than you ever could. Also, any weapons that are drawn will automatically pull from their reserves prior to anything you have in your inventory. You can then reload as well, and it will also pull from the Armadoggo's reserves first. Saddle ability number 12 is the Oxygen Box. While they have this ability, you will not need a scuba tank. However, the dog scuba tank is not a permanent one, and it does only work for a set amount of time, and then it will have a cooldown. This can, however, be combined with a player's scuba tank to extend your total oxygen capacity. Now, this was an absolutely insane amount of information. I was expecting maybe 2 pages of total notes, maybe just even 1, but this basically was 4 full pages of notes for this creature. Hope you're all doing well, and if you enjoyed the video, then please consider leaving a like and subscribing to see more Ark news in the future.